Okay, so today's topic is secure electronic transaction from the fifth unit. So yesterday I started the fifth unit with viruses, and we are going to see about an interesting topic called secure electronic transaction (SET). So what is this? It is nothing but you have a lot of online shopping nowadays. So how to protect your data when you do a electronic transaction? That is the main idea behind CT. So what kind of information we generally give? We generally give this user personal and financial information to the internet whenever we go in for a transaction. For example, when you buy something online, we have to give our personal information like our name, then our phone numbers, contact numbers, and we also give our financial information like when we our card details, right? When we go to the payment, we give the card details, and then only the order is confirmed. So this is about online shopping. So how we are going to make this secure? So you can use the concept of SET. So what are the services that SET provides us? Confidentiality, integrity. So what is integrity? Data should not be altered, should not be changed, right? When I give my name and phone number, somebody should not alter the data, then it is misuse. Then cardholder authentication, that is if the card is valid or not. That also is an important service with regard to online transaction. Then merchant authentication. Now who's merchant? He is the person with whom we purchase. Okay, for example, if you buy online from Amazon, Amazon is the merchant. So these are the services: confidentiality, integrity, cardholder authentication, and merchant authentication. Now we'll go on to the participants of SET. So if you take the participants, so the participants are cardholder, merchant as usual I just now explained to you. Then issuer. Who is the issuer? Issuer is the bank name. Okay, I have a card, I have a bank associated with my card. So he is the issuer here. Then you have an acquirer. Acquirer is nothing but any financial institution that is related to the merchant. That is, it will accept any payment from any bank account. Okay, he is the acquirer. So this, if you see, this is a general relationship diagram that I've given. You have a customer-merchant relationship. The customer, suppose I go to Spar, okay, hypermarket. So the customer is myself and the Spar hypermarket is my merchant. So when after I buy the products, I put my card on I swipe it on the bill counter. So when I swipe it, it goes to the payment gateway. It checks my card whether the card is valid, and it will check what gateway it is. So what are the payment gateways? Broadly classified as MasterCards and Visa cards, right? So then it will correspondingly it will navigate and it will send the details to the merchant, and it will send the details to the customer also. Okay, so we will see this process in detail. So as I told you, the payment gateway is nothing but the MasterCard and the Visa card. And there's a concept called certificate authority introduced in this SET. So what is a certificate? It's nothing but it's like our digital signature, or it is like our public key. Okay, we can call it more like a public key of a customer. So whenever you have an encryption process, public key is generated, right? So the public key representation in the SET is your certificate authority. So it will have the cardholder's name and also the public key of the customer. So if the receiver wants the sender's key, suppose if the receiver, that is who is the receiver in the example, Spar is the receiver, I am the customer, right? If I want the key, sorry, Spar wants my key. If he wants to approve me, then You can do it only with the certificate. Okay, I have to be authenticated first before using. That is why they start asking your phone numbers first. So first time you have to register with your phone number. After every time, it will, with your phone number, all your purchases history, everything keeps recording there. Okay, so this is a type of authentication. Now you want to ensure that integrity is also performed here. Integrity is data should not be altered. So for that, they introduced a scheme called dual signature. Okay, so they are introducing the scheme called dual signature. So generally, the information from the customer can be divided into two. One is the payment information, that is our card number, CVV and all, and that is going to be sent to the bank. The other one is the order information. What are the products we have bought? We have kept it in our cart when we do an online shopping, and those information has to go to the corresponding merchant. So again, the bank is going to have the plain text of the payment information and the message digest of order information. Likewise, merchant has the plain text of the order information and the message digest of payment information. So these are the two things that you need to know. One is PIMD. Okay, see what is this PIMD in the diagram? It is nothing but payment information message digest. The other one is OIMD, which is nothing but order information message digest. Okay, so what is this? We will see the diagram first, the simple way how it works. So first, the payment information. Whenever the customer gives the payment information, it is going to be hashed using the hash function, and you get a payment information message digest. Okay, likewise, the order information. So I told you in the previous slide that two information is being taken from the customer. One is payment information, the other one is order information. So both these information has to be separately hashed, hash function has to be performed, and you get two message digest. One is the payment information and the other one is order information message digest. Both are appended. Okay, this is the appending process. Both are joined, and on that appended message, again we perform a hash function. So it becomes payment order message digest. Okay. Now this is again encrypted using the private key of customer. PRC means private key of customer. So already you know digital signature means what? Previous class we saw digital signature means when you give a private key for your encryption, that is called as a signature. So here also we are talking about dual signature. So again, signature concept should be there. So definitely private key encryption should be there. Otherwise it is not called as a signature. So here we are doing the encryption using the private key of the customer, and you get something called as the dual signature. So the parameters used are PRC is the private key of the customer. The hashing algorithm used here is SHA-1. And for encryption, we use RSA encryption. Okay. So this dual signature is going to be sent to both the bank also, it will be sent, and to the merchant also. Okay. This dual signature will be sent along with the payment request and purchase request. We'll see that in the next few slides also. Now we have to decrypt it, right? We have done the encryption here. We've done the encryption using the private key. Now this is from the sender side. At the receiver side, what it will happen? We need to do decryption. So for decryption, we have to use the public key of the customer, because for encryption, we are using the private key of the customer. For decryption, you'll be using the public key of the customer. So along with this, the dual certificate will also be, the certificate will also be sent along with the dual signature. Okay. Because from the certificate only we can get the public key of the customer. So that is why the certificate and the dual key both are sent. Then finally what will happen? The generated and the appended dual signature will be compared, as we saw in the previous cases. The generated and the appended dual signature will be compared. So once if it is matched, then you get a right message, otherwise it is not. So this is just like a state diagram or an no, it's like customer, merchant, and financial institution. So first, the dual signature is obtained, that is obtained by the encryption technique here. Then this dual signature is sent to both the bank and the merchant. Okay, Amazon, for example, merchant will be our Amazon. Financial institution can be any bank from which we have got the card. So then what the merchant does, he does decryption. Once he has received the dual signature, he does a decryption. Okay, and this bank also does a decryption. So for that, they use the public key of the customer that is got from the customer using the certificate. That certificate is given to both the merchant and the bank. Using that only they are able to do the decryption. So merchant, when he decrypts, he will get the payment information, because merchant is the merchant will receive the order information, because Amazon, it's enough if they know about the order information. What are the list of products that have been ordered from Amazon? That information is enough for them. So they will receive only that. Whereas your bank will receive the payment information. So the bank is only more concerned about your payment details, your CVV and all. So here only the payment information will be decrypted and got. In merchant side, only the order information will be decrypted and got. The other OI is the order information. The other one is in the form of a message digest. Okay, this OI is only the message that we need to receive for the merchant. PI is the payment information that is to be taken by the bank. And this OIMD is nothing but a message digest. It's a message digest value. Okay. So we'll see how a purchase request is generally made using SCT. So I told you, according to the process, there is a dual signature. It is generated and it is sent along with the payment information and the order information message digest. So this is a message digest generated using the hash function, and this is the payment information given by customer. So all these totally are going to be encrypted using a secret key. Okay, and that is again encrypted using the public key of bank. You have to very importantly note that here the public key of bank is used. So this encryption using the public key of bank gives something called digital envelope. This digital envelope will be accessible only by the bank. Why? Because it is encrypted using the public key of bank. So who will have the public key of bank? Only bank will be having. No other Amazon or any other merchants cannot have. Only bank will be having its public key. That network, everyone will, in the bank network, they will have the public key. So this is called the digital envelope, and it is accessible only by the bank. Now here, this public key of the bank encryption is done. That is again encrypted using the secret key, and that is what you get an encrypted message here. Now this encrypted message, the digital envelope, along with the payment information message digest, order information, then again a digital dual signature certificate. All these things will be generated in the second process. Okay, so many things are generated in the second process, but everything is not used by everyone. For example, digital envelope is going to be used only by the bank. Okay, now what will the merchant take? We will see what happens to the merchant. So merchant will receive only this part. Okay, he will be receiving the payment information message. Merchant means who? Think of Amazon. For him, he needs a payment information message digest is nothing but a payment information. For example, the QR code. Okay, you can take that also as a hash code. So this will be only that. The order information will be that is what is needed for Amazon. All the orders that you have made, the list of products, the quantity, everything, that is very valuable information for him. Along with that, the dual signature generated at the sender side. Then the certificate to get the public key for decryption, right? That also has to be, all these things are the ones which the merchant will be using. So now what the merchant does is he will take the certificate and he will generate the public key, and he will get the public key of the customer, because the certificates will always give you the public key of the customer, and this will be used to decrypt the dual signature that is obtained. So he decrypts and he gets the payment order message digest. Okay, this is one part that he does. I'll repeat again. The merchant will take the public key of the customer from the certificate and he will use it to decrypt the dual signature which he has received, and he will get a payment order message digest. Then here what he's already having the order information and the payment information message digest. So with these two, he will perform the hash functions and append it, and he will get a payment order message digest. So this he is generating POMD, and this he is getting by getting it from the sender. Okay, this POMD is getting from the sender. He's only decrypting and taking it. But here he is generating the POMD. So the generated POMD and the received POMD are compared. This is what the merchant does. Okay. Now the bank also has to do. Now three people are involved, right? Customer, merchant, and bank. So this is the merchant operation. Now what the bank is going to do. So if you see this is the same diagram, previous diagram, the same thing. This is the merchant part that we saw. Now the top one which I'm showing is the bank side, what he is going to do. So the bank, again, he is going to receive this message digest generated from the sender. He is going to decrypt it. To decrypt, he has to use the digital envelope, right? The digital envelope, he can do it by using his private key, PR of B, private key of B. Using that, he will decrypt the digital envelope. Use the secret key. Secret key is KS is a symmetric key, so it will be available to the sender and the receiver. So using that, he will again decrypt it, and he will receive the payment information plus the order information message digest. These two he will be getting it from here. Plus he will also receive the digital signature from the customer, sender, right? So first what he will do with the digital signature, he will get the certificate from the customer public key, he will get it from the certificate, he will decrypt it, and he will get the POMD. So this one is the this one is the obtained POMD because he is getting it from the customer. Now this one is the generated one. Okay, so how he generates, he performs hash functions on these, and then he performs another hash functions, and he has got the POMD. So this is a generated POMD. This is the received POMD. Both he again compares. So this process is done in the bank side. This process is done in the merchant side. Okay, I will repeat this again because it might be confusing. If you understand what I say, it will be very easy for you to write this by yourself. Okay. So generally, those who came late also now listen to this carefully. There are three persons involved in any online transaction. One is customer, that is ourselves. The second one is merchant. The merchant is the one who sells the products to us, like Amazon, or Spar hypermarket, whatever it is, online shopping, any online shopper. Okay. And the third one is the bank, because we swipe our cards or we make the payment through the online payment. So three main people are involved: the customer, merchant, and bank. Okay. Now what we are going to do at the sender side. So when a purchase is started, the payment information, right? Our whatever details, my CVV number, I put my card, right? So the payment information will be along with the order information message digest. So order information is just the list of products. So that will be in the form of a message digest. Okay, that will be along with the dual signature that is generated. We learned about the dual signature generation here, how to do the dual signature generation. So dual signature generation is done using the payment information and the order information. Both together are combined and you form the dual signature. So that dual signature is used, then my payment information is used, and a message digest is generated. What is a message digest? Already we saw it. It's a MAC code. It's a hash code, a MAC code. It's for authentication code. Okay, so we have a code, we have a dual signature, we have a payment information. Now all these things are encrypted using a key called KS, which is like a symmetric key. So this will be available in the sender and receiver side. Now that is again encrypted using the public key of B. What is B? Bank. So since it is a public key of bank, it will be available only to the bank. So bank can only get this digital envelope. Merchant cannot get it because he doesn't have the public key of bank. The customer will also not be able to receive it. Only bank can use this digital envelope. So after this process, there are certain things that are developed after the process. What are these? That is an encrypted message. This encrypted message is done by all this encryption. Then you have a digital envelope, which is a part of this encryption. Then you have a payment information message digest, a hash code for the payment information. Then the entire order details is also there. What is the order detail? All the products will be there. So who needs all the product details? Only the merchant. So this will be only for the merchant. Then you have a dual signature also and certificate is there. So all these information are generated after the first step is done. So this we are going to segregate according to bank's use and merchant use. So this part alone the merchant use, the second part of it, the top part of it the bank is going to use. Now what the merchant is going to do first is he has all received a dual signature. So using the certificate he is going to receive the customer's public key and decrypt this dual signature and he will take the POMD. Okay, he's just going to do the decryption and receive it. So this is the received POMD from the sender. Then he is going to generate a POMD. How he is going to do is using the order information and the payment information message ID. He is going to perform hash functions on them and he is going to generate a POMD and both he is going to compare. This he does in the merchant side for his verification. Likewise, the bank also does his verification, which is the top part. Okay, this is the top part. Now, what is the bank going to do? The bank is going to receive this information and the digital envelope, right? These two the bank is going to use. Now, what this information contains, if you decrypt it, yes, he will be able to decrypt it because he has the private key of the bank. He will be able to decrypt this digital envelope. He will be able to decrypt again using the symmetric key because symmetric key is available for both the sender and receiver. So he will be able to decrypt this message and he will send it. And what is inside this is, it is the payment information and the order information MD. If you see here, these two, payment information and order information, these two will be there along with the dual signature. It will be there in this. Okay. So that is what he is able to receive everything. Along with that, he will receive the certificate also. So using the certificate, he gets the customer's public key and he decrypts the digital signature and he will get the POMD. So this is the received POMD. Then using these two information, using hash functions, SHA-1, he will generate the POMD. So both the POMD will be compared in the bank side. So this is done in the bank side. This is done in the merchant side. Okay. So this is about SCT. Now next what we are going to see today, yesterday we saw about virus. So today we are going to just start with about firewalls. Okay, so firewalls, you all know what is a firewall, what are the benefits of a firewall, and generally know what firewalls helps you. A lot of things you know about firewall. What is the main, or what can you say, what is the main plus point of using a firewall? Okay, so I'm not going to brief a lot about the introduction about firewalls and all. Generally, the basic thing that you all know is that firewalls are for protection, right, of the networks. Basically, two different networks also it can definitely protect. But gateways are very good than the firewalls, but it's good to have a firewall for any organization. Okay. Just a few seconds. Oh, so if we see what are the characteristics of a firewall, the characteristics can be like service control. It can be only for internet services, for inbound services, for mail service. Then it can be behavioral control. For example, firewall can filter email to eliminate the spams. So that type of behavior. So there are different characteristics of a firewall. Okay, but basically, if you say what is the scope of a firewall, you can say the firewall defines a single choke point, okay, that keeps the unauthorized users out of protected network. Okay, so that is a general discussion about the firewalls. You can go into more details. I'll send you a PDF regarding that, only firewalls. You can just have a look over it. But let's see the important points in firewalls, which is nothing but the types of firewalls. So there are basically three types: packet filtering router, application level gateway, and circuit level gateway. Okay. So this can come in your fifth unit. This is also an important answer. They can ask you the types or explain any one type, like packet filtering is very important. So even they can ask you those types also. So generally, a packet filter means it applies a set of rules on each incoming and outgoing packets, IP packets. So certain rules will be there on incoming and outgoing IP packets. Then based on that, it will either forward or discard the packet. So what are the rules? It will be based on the source IP address. Okay, then the destination IP address and the transport level address. Okay, that is whether it is transported using telnet, UDP, or TCP. And also it checks for the IP protocol field. Then it will check for the interface. Okay, so these are the certain factors, mainly the source IP address, destination IP address, and the transport address. Based on that only, rules are set whether you need to allow or not. So based on that, the packets will be entering into our network. That is your packet filtering network. And some of the attacks that happens in packet filtering router is this IP address spoofing. Spoofing, you know, right? They try to spoof or make a copy of your same IP address. Suppose my laptop has a specific IP address. They will try to make my network address, use my IP address to do some wrong things. Okay, that is called spoofing. So that is possible using packet filtering. I mean, it does not avoid this type of attack. And certain other attacks are also there. Okay, then we can go to the circuit level gateway. Circuit level gateway is the last part here, you can see, right? It's in the form of a circuit, if you see. So this can be a standalone system, or it can be some specialized function. You can also allocate a specialized function for it. Then it also does not allow end-to-end TCP connection. Okay, this kind of circuit does not allow end-to-end TCP connection. Then what it does, it will be between two TCP connection. It will not allow end-to-end connection, but it will stay in between two TCP connections. Okay, then what else about it? Yeah, so it will also tell you like whether it is based on TCP or whether it is based on UDP. It will be able to tell you the exact platform of the gateway, and then it will try to allow the data's inside. So if you take an example of the circuit level gateway, mostly it is this SOCKS, that is remote procedure calls, or this, they have the SOCKS, okay, SOCKS. It's a implementation of this circuit level gateway. It's a server actually. SOCKS is nothing but a server that is run on Unix based firewalls. So in that SOCKS server, this circuit level gateway is used. And what is application gateway is nothing but it's called like a proxy server. Okay, the second diagram B part which you see, It's called the application level gateway. Generally, you have the application network has this all these layers: HTTP, SMTP, FTP. All these are what? Hypertext Transfer Protocol. Then Simple Mail Transfer Protocol, File Transfer Protocol, Telnet. Telnet is used for Unix. So all these things are the application level layers. So this is just like a proxy server. Okay. So the user contacts the gateway using the TCP application. Just he will contact this user will contact this using some of the applications here. Either using Telnet, he can contact and go there. You can use a file transfer protocol and go there. So he will use any one of the layers in the application for contacting. So this is about the 3 types of firewall configuration. Okay, and yeah, we have this thing Bayesian configuration also in firewalls. Okay, so we have only 5 minutes more, so let me take the attendance. I'll continue tomorrow.